Oscar Piastri needs to destroy Lando's momentum. In the last few weeks, many F1 content creators have spoken about Oscar Piastri and his slump. Some talked about his driving style, others focused on the numbers, but they all agreed that the young Australian is throwing away his chances of a championship. So I'm creating a video about the first thing he needs to do to save the title. If he does that, he'll triumph in Abu Dhabi and not his teammate. Oscar Piastri didn't start so well in his hometown of Melbourne in the first race of the season. Man, that feels forever ago. In a race that became a wet race later on, he and Norris went off track, but Piastri kept sliding and it took him forever to get off the grass and racing again. Still a good effort to score some points. In China he hit back and won. In the next race in Japan he scored a P3 with Norris and Verstappen ahead. But then in Bahrain he won again. And in Saudi Arabia and in Miami. This is when things were great and momentum was on his side. Third places in Imola and Monaco were okay, no biggie, and then in Spain he won again. In Canada he finished P4, but that was okay because Lando Norris rear-ended him, destroyed his car and scored no points. In Austria he finished P2 behind Norris because Norris was better. At the British Grand Prix Piastri lost because he braked too hard behind the safety car and he received a 10-second penalty. Still a P2 though. A win in Belgium, a P2 in Hungary and a win in my home country, the Netherlands, where Norris had a mechanical DNF. A P3 in Monza, and that's where things started going downhill. In Zandvoort he had a comfortable lead of 34 points on Norris, and the way things were going, nobody expected Piastri not to win the championship. The Norris fangirls were all making up these conspiracies about sabotage, and Piastri was his calm self, letting nothing bother him. I don't know what changed or what happened in his head after that, but it all came kind of crumbling down. Was it that the last upgrades made the car better for Norris? Or did the next set of tracks not suit him? We'll never know. We do know that the good old days of Piastri getting podiums and wins were over. So after an almost record number of races in the points, he scored points in 34 consecutive races, which is the third most. Oscar Piastri DNF'd. Not a small little incident where he got unlucky, it was a proper clusterfuck of a weekend. He was off the pace all weekend, crashed during qualifying and crashed again on lap 1. What the hell, bro? I suppose a young driver in his third season can be forgiven for an off weekend. Lando Norris didn't really capitalize on it either. He only scored 6 more points than him. Just take a deep breath, straighten your shoulders, dust yourself off and go again. The Singapore Grand Prix offered possibilities. He outqualified Norris, and even if Russell and Verstappen were ahead of him, he could score more points than Lando. Lando, however, felt a bit feisty and bowled himself through the first corners and left Piastri behind. The always calm and collected Aussie wasn't pleased as papaya rules prevented them from barging in on each other, which Norris did. He finished 4th with Norris in 3rd. Nothing lost and the gloves come off now. Unfortunately, to do something against Norris with your gloves off, you need to be near him on the track. Well, it was a sprint weekend in Austin and he and Norris got super close. Piastri crashed into Norris after hitting Hulkenberg. No points in the sprint for either McLaren driver. And after Verstappen won the main race as well, full points for the Dutch 4-time champ. Piastri was P5 in the main race. Then the Mexican Grand Prix. Piastri qualified a lowly P8, was promoted to P7 due to Sainz's grid drop, and he only managed to climb up to P5. Norris won the race and is now the new leader of the standings. With 4 races to go and 2 sprint races, nothing is lost, but the momentum is definitely with Norris now. Max Verstappen is also only 35 points away, but Piastri needs to deal with his teammate first. See, with the small number of races left and McLaren's love for Norris, Oscar needs to stay very close to Lando to prevent them from using him against Max. Bernie Eccleston is always outspoken and literally said, McLaren clearly favours Norris. At the start of the year, Piastri was notably faster, but the team has been holding him back more and more lately, in various ways. McLaren chooses the British driver because he has more star power, greater marketing value, and gets more attention in the spotlight. That's probably more attractive for the team. You can tell that Piastri is angry about it and has had enough. All the discussions surrounding it are getting on his nerves. The pressure keeps building and Piastri is frustrated that he can no longer win races as easily and that Norris is clearly the preferred driver within the team. I don't know if I agree with this whole discourse, but I do want to warn Piastri not to give McLaren the option. He needs to win that title himself because all is not lost. We saw in 2021 that the decision can happen in the last round at the last lap. To be honest, I don't know if I want to go through that again. I felt sick at the time. Anyway, what does Oscar Piastri need to do to stop Lando's momentum? Well, we know Lando Norris is in good form at the moment. Quite a contrast from what we've seen from him at other stages of this season. He's bottled a lot of races, squandered a lot of points. But he seems to be over that now. We also know he's not that strong mentally. I think that one small setback could see him spiral down again. This is why McLaren is so careful with him all the time. It's probably why they made up this repercussion thing after Singapore. Just to say something to the outside world, but internally nothing much changed. I think if Norris were to lose a position or two thanks to Piastri, he wouldn't take that well either. Therefore, Piastri needs to cut off contact with Norris as much as possible. Get inside his head. Just say that now that the championship is this close, they shouldn't interact too much. Let it simmer. This will bug Norris, no doubt, as he's a sensitive guy. The next race weekend is in Brazil. If Piastri gives him a little tap back, like he received in Singapore, and then goes on to beat Norris, then Norris will lose his confidence a bit. Now, don't do it like it went in Austin. That was too much. Although, I wouldn't mind as a Max fan. That's beside the point, obviously. Now, also important, fuck McLaren and their shitty rules. If they come over the radio to sanitize stuff, Oscar should just pretend the radio isn't working. Just multi-21 that noise. Your manager will understand. This is no time to stay friends with anyone. This is championship time. The thing you've sacrificed everything for. Living alone in England, all that training, bad weather, pommies around you 24/7. Ugh. Awful. Oscar Piastri can make it all worth it by grabbing that opportunity. And to grab that opportunity, he needs to destroy Norris. No matter how much you like him. Win now, patch it up later. Or don't. But you'll have the trophy. With that trophy, you can go to another team if McLaren wants to be awkward. But most of the time, they'll go for the winner, no matter what. I hope you subscribe, no matter what. Take care now. Doei doei.